The U.S. Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner says he's confident China will relax controls on its currency, the yuan, as its reliance on exports lessens. China has kept the yuan anchored near 6.83 per dollar this year during the global financial crisis. The Obama administration has resisted calls for a tougher stance on China's exchange rate from some members of Congress, whose districts are losing manufacturing jobs. President Barack Obama left Beijing this week without a breakthrough on currency policy, and Geithner also held back from criticizing China's approach when he met with Asian finance ministers in Singapore last weekend. China's health minister Chen Zhu has said the country is vaccinating 1.5 million people a day against swine flu. The government plans to inoculate around 90 million people, nearly 7% of the country's 1.3 billion population, by the end of the year. Chen said more than 15 million people have been immunized so far. He also defended China's aggressive quarantine policy for those with flu-like symptoms, saying this had won time to prepare the vaccine. He added that vaccinating medical personnel is also a top priority to protect their patients. Chen also said China has no plans to export its vaccine for the present. China is vowing to tighten supervision of its fast-growing online games market. The Ministry for Culture has warned some games contain harmful elements and use bloody, violent, and obscene content to attract players. The ministry said it would toughen the approval process and step up oversight of content. It has also urged game developers to limit virtual marriages and player-versus-player combat and improve technology to restrict the amount of time teenagers can spend on the internet. The number of internet gamers in China reached nearly 220 million this year, nearly two-thirds of the nation's total online population. Sales revenue rose over 50% to around $3 billion in 2008. China's state news agency Xinhua and the United Nations Children's Fund have launched a 24-hour relay broadcast to mark today's Universal Children's Day. The global media campaign, Global News Day for Children, aims to highlight the international media's role in helping improve children's lives. In China alone, the UN estimates there are about 1.5 million children living on the streets or with gangs that force them to beg or steal. The Convention on the Rights of the Child was adopted by the UN on November 20, 1989, and is the most ratified human rights treaty in history. Chinese military officials say poor English is one of the main factors hindering Chinese peacekeeping forces in their missions overseas. Colonel Cui Yanwei says the relatively low English standards of Chinese peacekeepers ranks next after general security issues among the challenges they face. China has sent more than 14,000 peacekeepers, mostly military observers, engineers, and medics, to UN peacekeeping operations in the last 20 years. About 2,000 Chinese are currently serving overseas. China has rejected requests made by the United States, the European Union, and Mexico to establish a WTO panel to investigate Chinese restrictions of raw material exports. A Chinese delegation insists the country respects and abides by WTO rules and its own commitments. The U.S. has accused China of restricting exports of crucial raw materials critical to U.S. manufacturers, thereby violating WTO rules. The materials include coke, bauxite, magnesium, silicon, and zinc. A Chinese authors group is demanding that Google compensate writers whose books it scanned without permission. The Chinese Authors Society demanded that Google present a resolution plan by the end of the year to compensate Chinese authors. A local copyright protection group, co-founded by the authors group, has said it found at least 17,000 Chinese works included in Google's scanning plan. The group has also demanded that Google provide a full list of books by Chinese authors it has scanned and insisted the company does not scan any more Chinese works without permission. And that's the BON headlines for now, but we'll be back with more news after this.